Fort Clint City Council meeting in the Linda Hart Log Council Chambers. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, the Lord's Prayer, and a moment of silence for those serving and protecting our country.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father,
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.
thank you. You may be seated. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Kelly Gangle,
Excused?
Pat Hovis.
Here.
Beth Gilman.
Present.
Roseanne Hickman.
Here.
Richard Morgan.
I'm here.
Margaret Phillips.
Here.
Jerry Tiroli.
Present.
Thank you. Council, you previously received the August 9, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam President, I move to approve the August 9th meeting minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Troy. Any discussion? I have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Troy to approve the August 9, 2022 regular meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. The chair notes that certification has been made regarding compliance with the rules and notifications of this meeting. We have no guest presentation, public comment.
Kelly Smith, 122.5 Madison Street.
Thank you. Mr. Holman's in front of the podium, so if you would like to stand there, you're more than welcome.
So I'm Kelly Smith and recently moved in to Madison Street, and I wanted to say thanks to Mike and his crew, Tracy and Todd, that have been very helpful. A lot of challenges in converting the property, but fighting with anybody at City Hall wasn't one of them. It was very, very helpful.
Just wait.
And I do have a comment. Coming over the drawbridge as many times, my God, I'm surprised how often this thing is up. But coming into town over the drawbridge, you have that crosswalk stoplight for the Jet Express. And I'm going to tell you that red light disappears under certain conditions. You got a sun coming over that armory, the old armory, that, you know, the red just disappears. And I'm alert now, and I'm not usually. But now I pay attention because, I mean, you come up to it and you don't see that red at all. And look at the difference between the lights on the drawbridge, which are just vibrant. You're not going to miss a red light on that drawbridge. But compare that to the lights as you come over, you know, from Lakeview Drive. It's really washed out. I know you got a hell of a problem there on Madison or Monroe Street. I mean, those old enough to remember the Ben-Hur chariot races with Charlton Heston, that's kind of what it's like. I don't know what you're going to do about that, but the light, I think, is an easy fix. So that's all I have to say.
You're talking about at the walkway,
I'm
where they go from the parking
yeah,
lot to the Jet
yes,
Express.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very washed out, especially when you see the lights on the bridge, the new lights they put on the bridge. And maybe it's a dirty lens or.
But we'll have to talk about that, if I can.
Yes.
The Jet controls that light. So they're the ones that have always done the maintenance and repairs on that light. We've called them about when it's twisted and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's part of the reason it fades.
And they've fixed it occasionally, not in a time frame. So that's something to really talk about. To further talk about that, we are doing a study right now on that whole area. It's from the corner to there. We had a study going on right now. They've done traffic counts, they've done pedestrian counts. I'm more concerned with the pedestrians walking across all the time, and with the new business going there on the corner that, hey, let's just run across the street. So we'll have some more information on that, and I think that light will come into play from that regards too. So I will have some discussion with the Jet on that first of all, and then go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Colson. Move on to executive officers reports. Council.
Well, that's, excuse me, I want to take off.
Oh, sure. You're more than welcome.
Not that I think you're boring. 12 years in a school board and shut it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
take care.
Council, this evening there are 3 liquor permits. Ohio Division of Liquor Control, Mace Luke Retirement Funds LLC, DBA Three-Legged Dog, 116 Madison Street, Portland, Ohio. A D2 restaurant or nightclub wine mixed drinks permit, a D3 restaurant or nightclub spiritus liquor on-site consumption and only until 1 a.m. permit. Next, we have an Ohio Division of Liquor Control Lakeshore Fund Company LLC, DBA Visions ER, 1632 East Perry Street, Fort Clinton, Ohio, 43452, a D1 restaurant or nightclub beer permit. And lastly, we have Ohio Division of Liquor Control, Rite Aid of Ohio Inc., DBA Rite Aid, 3179126 East Perry Street, Fort Clinton, Ohio, a C2 carry-out beer and liquor sales. And the chief has advised he has no objections to any of these liquor permits, so if council so chooses, they may take a vote, proper action, yes, thank you, on that this evening when we get down to correspondence.
When do you ask questions about it?
You can add that time, yeah,
Now?
when I,
Okay.
at the time,
Wait,
I'll ask for discussion when we do a vote, because it'll be a roll call vote on
All right,
that.
thank you.
This evening, there are 2 new ordinances. 27-2 will not be assigned to a committee that can go to full 3 reads. First reading on ordinance 28-22. Originally, council had, or administration asked that be for 2 reads, but as we did not have the last council meeting due to lack of a quorum, they have now asked that this be passed on its first reading. Although the ordinance has not been discussed at committee or assigned to a committee, what it pertains to, which is the green spots charging stations for electric cars, has been discussed at Environment and Economic and Development Committee previously.
So, Madam President, you wanted that passed tonight? Is that what you said?
Yes,
Or
sir.
If we can?
Yes, if council chooses, yes. And then we do have a second reading that the administration has asked that 25-22 be passed on its on its second read. Originally, that was the third read, which will be tonight, but we didn't have a meeting last time, and that was not assigned to a committee, so. And then, I guess that's all I have this evening. We'll move on to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. It's good to see everyone. I felt guilty not being at the 2 August meetings, but then I realized I only missed 1 August meeting, so it's all good. Just as a reminder, the Cruisin' Car Club here in Port Clinton, their monthly car shows downtown. The last one of the season is this Thursday from 5 to 8 in the 200 block of Madison Street. The walkway, they've been in town working on the punch list items. They've re-poured the south access point. There were some of you asked questions. It wasn't necessarily that the slope going into it was incorrect, but the pitch, if you will, from the water flow from the river to the parking lot was off, did not meet ADA requirements. They're also in the process of putting in the railings for the 3 or 4 access points from the parking lot up to the pier. And it's just amazing every time I go down there, the number of people and geese that are using that pier. One is good, one isn't so good. The brush pickup is ongoing this week. They'll make their regular stop through the entire town and then make one final loop. There is an abundance of brush out there this week. So again, if you talk to your neighbors, talk to constituents, make sure they get it out in a timely fashion. We always have 1 or 2 folks that put it out after the fact and call and say, hey, so please spread the word. The final brush pickup of the season will be the week of October 10th. October 10th, that week will be the final one of the season. You know, things never run quite as smoothly or quickly in government as I think any of us would like. Back in March when I gave my State of the City address, I said, hey, this spring you should see a restroom going up at Waterworks Park. Well, we just got the plans approved, and hey, this fall you should see a restroom going up somewhere down at Waterworks Park. So look for that. Again, it's going to be right at the V, if you will, where the road goes off to the high ground and the walkway goes over to the lighthouse. Again, that's a combination City Lighthouse Conservancy, Friends of the Parks funded project. Last week, Tracy, or Mr. Colston, met with the Ohio Department of Transportation. If you remember, again, going the speed of things, back in July of 2019, where many of you volunteered to count pedestrians and traffic at 3 different locations around town. We applied for grants for things. One of the 3 locations was awarded. Well, it's coming to fruition now. Mr. Colston met with ODOT on installing the traffic light on Lakeshore Drive between Mr. Ed's and Doc's Beach House. So again, anticipate that here in the near future going up. We still have the traffic counts for the other 2 locations, the Jet Express, which was just brought to our attention as well. And then the City Beach, we applied for a second round, we're rejected, but we'll continue to get that until we annoy the heck out of the people that make the decision and they finally give us the money. August 28th, to all accounts, was a wonderful day. PC Day at Fifth Third Field. They estimated, based on zip codes, about 750 Port Clinton residents traveled over to watch the baseball game. The Mud Hens won, thank goodness. We're already in discussions about doing it again next year, and then maybe even a walleye hockey game this winter. There are 3 things that I'm going to take away from that day. The first one was the fact when I was down on the field pregame, I was doing a live Facebook feed, and Governor DeWine walked right by me, and I mentioned that he was live on Facebook in Port Clinton, Ohio, and he came over and talked with me for about 30 seconds. So that was the first thing that was pretty cool for me. The second thing was my granddaughter got to take the baseball and run it out to the pitcher's mound before the game started, and as she was running off, she got a fist bump from the home plate umpire. That was cool, and she did say the grass was spongy for anybody that's interested in that. And then the third thing, when our hometown heroes, the U.S. Coast Guard Port Security Unit 309, I think it was the 6th or 7th inning, they were announced and rose, and the whole place applauded and so forth. But the one thing that caught my eye, as the right fielder for the visiting team was running out, he stopped, turned, and applauded as well. And I thought that was impressive. I got goosebumps just thinking about that right now. Other things, the Rotary Club here in town is having a cornhole tournament down at Mom this weekend. The adult cornhole tournament starts at 2. You can register by going to the Port Clinton Rotary Club Facebook page. My father and I have entered that, and we will challenge anybody to cornhole. So please feel free to sign up for that. It goes to support a great cause. With that cornhole, the lights down at Mom that run across the overhead, those are going to be coming down and probably won't go back up. It doesn't make any sense to put them back up. So if anyone says, why are the lights down, that's the reasoning behind that. And it was asked earlier outside of this, how long is Mom going to go? We have the downtown businesses that are pitching in for entertainment. That entertainment runs until the end of this month, just on Friday and Saturday. One entity downtown has pitched in money for Friday night, October 7th. That following Monday, a private group is having it's open to the public, but a private entity is having an event down there. And then that week, things will come down and the road will reopen. We'll be playing again. Actually, planning has already begun for Mom 2.3. Speaking of Mom, I was just I learned earlier today, the Beacon newspaper does the best of the best, and Mom made the final list of best area festival or event. I don't know who the other 2 festival and events are, but again, this is voted on by the readers of the Beacon. So I think it's pretty cool that whatever other festivals and events, Mom is in its 3rd year, really 2 years of really active, and folks recognize the importance of it. Speaking of Mom, jumping here, Buckeye High School over by Lodi, they are having their 50th class reunion, class of 1971. I know it's COVID because of the year there, but that class is turning 70. They are in town yesterday, today, and tomorrow to celebrate their 50th class reunion, or turning 70, because of Mom. They're down there right now listening to Ronnie Howard. That was kind of the main focus of coming to Port Clinton. So it's doing what it should be doing, bringing people into town. Not that they're 70 and I'm going right into cemetery cleanup.
I don't know how you put these in a terrible order. Let me proofread that next time.
Cemetery cleanup will be October 1st. So please ask that you remove any personal items from your loved one's graveside by October 1st. or our crews will do that for you. Citywide cleanup is going to be October 22nd. October 22nd for the citywide cleanup here at City Hall from 8 to 3 p.m. Contact City Hall for a list of prohibited items. For those watching on the internet, 419-734-5522, extension 2, and you'll get Sandy. Wave to everybody, Sandy. So again, that's Saturday, the 22nd of October from 8 to 3. You know, we don't have issues like what I'm about to talk about very often in Port Clinton. A week, 10 days ago, a woman was assaulted in her own home. Fortunately, as I said, we don't have these issues, but I've called the police chief personally. We talked about it in the Emergency Services Committee earlier today, and I want to mention it in City Council. I want to thank the chief and the men and women of his department and the police work that they did for identifying a suspect, tracking him down, and making an arrest. So again, if you would pass that along to the men and women in your department for doing a wonderful job and protecting the citizens of Port Clinton. And then finally, it's football season, as you all know. If I had a wife, she'd be a football widow right now. It's the end of the high school football season is the Rockets-Redskin annual rivalry. I have extended a hand out to Mayor Babcock of Oak Harbor to continue our now 4th year of the wager. When the Redskins win, he'll come to Port Clinton and feed our senior football players and senior cheerleaders. And if the unthinkable should happen, and I've got to make that trip west down State Route 163, I will do the same for their seniors, football players and senior cheerleaders. So, you know, we've got several games between now and then, but we're always, as Redskins, we're always thinking about beating the Rockets. So with that, ma'am, that ends my report, unless anyone has any questions.
Council have a question?
I have a question. You talked about the traffic light at City Beach. There is a traffic light at City Beach.
Correct.
What is happening with it?
We did a traffic study. ODOT had funding, and I can't remember the alphabet category, but we did a traffic count and a pedestrian count to update that. That traffic light is older than me. Also updating the one at the Jet Express, and then we also did the same thing to install one at Docks and Mr. Ed's. So we took that information, sent it to the Ohio Department of Transportation. They evaluated it with all the other requests from throughout the state. They awarded funds for Mr. Ed's, but denied the request for the other 2 locations.
What do we want done?
Just improve the traffic light.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Make it more visible, like
All right.
Mr. Smith was saying.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. I'll move on. Treasurer's report.
As of August 31st, 2022, as provided today by the auditor, bed tax is $199,076.65. Dock tax, $20,420.
Law Director.
Nothing tonight, Madam President. If anyone has any questions or would like me to explain any of the ordinances, I could do that during the ordinance portion.
We'll move on to supervisor's reports. Mr. Holston.
Nothing tonight unless there's questions.
Chief Scott.
Nothing.
Okay. Committee reports. Finance, Ms. Sonis.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. Environment and Public Works.
We had our meeting this evening, minutes to follow. And we go to, that's
Safety Services, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you, Madam President. We had our meeting beforehand also. It's going to be a lot of rooms around here. We did talk about the littering one, which is coming up later on, and at the next meeting, which will be the 3rd reading, and we will have Ms. Schenker explain it to us if we have any problems, but we spent some time on it. Thank you.
Okay. Economic and Community Development.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. We'll move on to correspondence. Under correspondence, we have the financial report on July 31st, 2022, provided by Mr. Bealow, the auditor. Planning Commission meeting minutes, July 14, 2022. Planning Commission meeting minutes, August 11, 2022. Architectural Review Board meeting minutes, August 25th, 2022. 2022, Economic Development Committee meeting minutes, July 26, 2022, Architectural Review Board meeting minutes, June 9th, 2022, and then the 3 liquor permits as I read earlier. Does council wish to do, or does council wish to take any action as to correspondence this evening?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr.
I
George.
make a motion to accept in correspondence from financial reports to Architectural Review Board meeting minutes, approve such correspondence.
I will move to second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Troy, seconded by Ms. Phillips to approve the correspondence from the financial report, July 31st down to Architectural Review Board, June 9th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. And motion carries. Does council wish to take any further action as to the correspondence this evening?
Madam President,
Mr. Troy.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive any and all irregularities and hearings as to the first Ohio Division of Liquor Control permit.
Okay, do I have a second? A second. Thank you. Any discussion?
Is this one I asked a question? We're talking about the one by Naismith Retirement, that one?
Yes.
160 Madison Street, where is this? I'm trying to figure out what, yes,
Mayor?
It's the Oddfellows building. That's the 3-story building with no windows.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought it might be that, what's that Dax and Brews that's been there for 2 years and nothing's happened. It's not that.
No,
It's the Almas building, Oddfellows building.
correct.
Okay. And another question on this, we keep approving this, which I have no problem with any of it. In my previous life, I was involved with something, I was trying to get a liquor license, and I was told there were 2. There were 2 in this town, and you can only, do we have a fixed number here, or?
The mayor?
Thank you. 12, 15 years ago, the city created a revitalization district with designated area, primarily the downtown area. And when that was created, there were 15 additional liquor permits for that zone. I believe at the moment they're down to two or three. What the Oddfellows building is applying for is one of those remaining liquor permits.
Is that something to negotiate with Ohio Liquor Board, Liquor Control or something like that? Can we just make that rules ourselves?
No, it's a state law that once it was implemented, those additional liquor permits have to stay in the downtown area, and once they're gone, there are no more available.
Okay, that's fine. And you always check with the police to see if they're okay with this, right? Okay, that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah.
All right. I'm good.
Additional information on that. Back in the 40s, they would only have a couple of eligible licenses, and you had to have someone stand up for you, someone like a mayor, and that's how we got ours. And you had to pay a price, $5,000, and I don't know what else went beyond it, but it was quite a bit to get it. It's much easier now to do this than it was then.
Okay. Fair enough.
Further questions? Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Troy, seconded by Mrs. Gilman, to waive any irregularities in the hearing as to the liquor permit for Maceloop, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Retirement funds, LLC DBA Three-Legged Dog. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman.
Yes.
Richard Morgan.
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries by a vote of 6-0. Does council wish to take any further action as to the correspondence?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive any and all irregularities and waive any hearings in regards to Ohio Division of Liquor Control, Lake Shore Fund Company.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Gilman. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Gilman, to waive any irregularities in hearing in reference to Ohio Division of Liquor Control, Lake Shore Fund Co. LLC DBA Visions Our Vision Permit. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Richard Morgan.
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman.
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Does council wish to take any further action as to correspondences?
Madam President,
Yes. Yes, Mr. Trolley.
Again, I would like to waive any and, I'd like to make a motion to waive any and all irregularities and waive any hearings in regards to Ohio Division of Liquor Control, Rite Aid of Ohio.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilman. Any discussion? Seeing none, I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Gilman, to waive any irregularities in hearings in reference to Ohio Division of Liquor Control, Rite Aid of Ohio, Inc., DBA Rite Aid 317 permit, 3179 permit. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Richard Morgan,
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Thank you, and I will ask that the clerk email those or fax those as soon as possible so we can get those moving for those businesses. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to readings of ordinances and resolutions. We have nothing under the third readings. Under second readings, we have ordinance 25-22. The clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 25-22.
Ordinance number 25-22, an ordinance accepting One Ohio subdivision settlement funds and directing placement of such funds into a separate fund to be used only for the approved purposes as required by the One Ohio MOU and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 25-22?
Madam President,
Ms. Gilman.
I move we waive the 3 required readings for ordinance 25-22.
I will second.
Thank you. Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Ms. Phillips, to waive the 3 required readings as to ordinance 25-22. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Richard Morgan,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 6-0. The required readings hereby waived. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 25-22?
Madam President,
Mrs. Gilman.
I move we retain the emergency clause for ordinance 25-22.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Ms. Phillips, to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 25-22. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Richard Morgan.
Yep. Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried by a vote of 6-0. The emergency clause is hereby retained. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 25-22?
Madam President,
Yes, Ms.
I move we adopt ordinance 25-22.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Ms. Phillips, to adopt ordinance 25-22. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Richard Morgan,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Ordinance 25-22 is hereby adopted. Move on to second reading of ordinance 26-22. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 26-22?
Ordinance number 26-22, an ordinance amending section 521.08A, 521.08F, 521.08G, 521.10D, 521.10E, and enacting section 521.08H of chapter 521 of the Port Clinton Codified Ordinances regulating litter and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action this evening as to ordinance 26-22? Seeing none, ordinance 26-22 will be moved to its third reading at the regular scheduled council meeting on September 27th, 2022. Move on to first readings of ordinances and resolutions. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 27-22?
Ordinance number 27-22, an ordinance to approve July 2022 replacement pages to the Port Clinton Codified Ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 27-22? Seeing none, ordinance 27-22 will be moved to its second reading at the next regular scheduled council meeting on September 27th, 2022. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only?
Safety and Service to enter into an agreement with Green Spot JC LLC, a limited liability company, to install, operate, manage, and service electrical vehicle EV network charging equipment in the city of Port Clinton and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action this evening as to ordinance 28-22?
Madam President,
Mrs. Gill?
I move we waive the 3 required readings on ordinance 28-22.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hickman. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Mrs. Hickman, to waive the 3 required readings as to ordinance 28-22. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Richard Morgan,
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 6-0. The 3 required readings are hereby waived as to ordinance 28-22. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 28-22?
Madam President,
Yes, Mrs. Gill.
I move we retain the emergency clause for ordinance 28-22.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hickman. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Mrs. Hickman, to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 28-22. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Richard Morgan,
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried by a vote of 6-0. The emergency clause is hereby retained. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 28-22?
Madam President, I move we adopt ordinance 28-22.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilman, and do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hickman. Any discussion?
I have a question. The fact that we're waiving these things means these are gonna go in soon?
Yes. Do you want to either the law director or mayor, does anyone want to talk about
And where?
the 28-22?
sure.
When and where?
Well, yeah, that's what, I need the authorization to be able to go forward to pick the spots. They're gonna have to come down and look at it. We've given them some ideas of where they're gonna go. So we'll do that, and then they'll put the whole contract together. They
And
go
then
out to
come
get
back.
money.
Okay.
Then they'll have to come back to do all that
This
stuff.
is just
in
giving the
order.
okay to,
Get the okay to get them here to get these spots and get this ball moving. That's basically what it's doing.
thank you.
Correct, Ms. Schenker, is that right?
That is correct,
Thank you.
yes.
Any further
Say it.
discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Mrs. Hickman, to adopt ordinance 28-22. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Pat Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Richard Morgan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Ordinance 28-22 is hereby adopted. We'll move on to business from the floor. Mr. Morgan.
Just to say that, I don't know why I don't do this more often, but when my stepdaughter was in town, she lives in LA. We decided to go to the beach. Not sure why someone who lives in the Pacific Ocean wanted to go to Lake Erie, but we did. And I'm always amazed when I go there how good it is and why I don't go there more often. And I'm speaking by the lighthouse. It helps this year that the water's out, so there's a few rocks there, and they're all in one spot, but the rest is great. I sat out there on my lawn chair reading a book, and I'm thinking, why don't I do this more often? Instead, I just drive by it and look at it. It's a very, very good beach, and I think it's kind of like a secret that people don't know about that. I mean, there's a little muck here, there, once in a while, but when it's low, it's a good place, you know, and I'm not sure what we should do the bathrooms there are gonna help. Should have borrowed my truck to go home to use the bathroom, you know. But, no, it was great, and I always remind when I go there once or twice a year, why don't I go here 3 times a week? I don't know. Anyway, so who's ever taking care of that, you're doing a good job. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Ms. Nobles.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Mr. Trolley.
Nothing's not that. I know, I'm speechless.
Whoa.
Speechless.
Oh.
Mrs. Hickman.
Nothing tonight, Madam
Thank
President.
you.
Thank you.
Ms. Phillips.
Well, someone was complaining about the lawn living rooms, but it was also talking about the long, what do you call them? Selling junk on your house. Garage sales, thank you, yes, and I tried to find out from that person who was, what particular property they were complaining about. they said it was gone, taken care of, but it hadn't been according to them at a later time. So that's the only thing. I just think people are really happy with what's going on. Just want it warmer. It's cold today.
Thank you. Mrs. Gill?
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. Seeing no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I move this august body adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Staples. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.